All righty. Well, let's get started. Tasha's got the recording going. Looks like that's good. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Community Summit recap powered by Congruent X. I'm Chris Cognetta. I'll be the host along with my co-host, sir.
Hey everybody, this is Connor Ingram.
So, Connor, we went to Summit, conquered, saw it all, but this was your first Summit. So, why don't you share just a general overall experience for you and what it meant to you going to Summit?
Sounds good. I don't know that I would say conquered for me. It's a lot. For those of you that maybe don't know, I used to work in the audio production space. So I've set up a lot of events, like we went to, and so it was really interesting kind of experiencing the other side of it, kind of going as an attendee. But I've set up a bunch of those things, but I never, I guess I underestimated how much was going to be there. There was just a lot to do. There was a lot of sore feet. Um,
For sure, for
I
sure.
th- I think probably one of the hardest things, honestly, was like picking the sessions, like which sessions did I want to go to, because there's just so much, available content and things. But it was definitely exceeded expectations, and I feel like I got a lot out of it.
Awesome. So we can count on you for the next community summit then.
I think so. I think
Okay.
so.
So we didn't scare you away. That's good. One of the big things this year was the attendance improvement from the post COVID time area. And it was about 4,500 attendees in place. A lot of traffic, a lot of people, especially on the community floor. I did feel that this being the week before this was the week after Power
Hmm.
Platform that had happened, did reduce some of the CRM or customer experience customers that may have had to choose to go to each one. And it continues to be a challenging conversation on, there's Power Platform areas, there's Community Summit, which is mostly around the Dynamics user groups and those
Hmm.
kind of things. So it's really hard to choose. Hopefully, there's enough spread this next time that we can get out to both. Otherwise, we may wind up splitting up the roadshow and putting two in one. And I know you certainly want to head over to the Power Platform Summit, so we'll try to make that happen as well. But the big news, right, was Copilot everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Did you not see Copilot everywhere?
I mean, it was probably 60 to 70% of the sessions at least covered it, right?
Right?
I mean that really is the buzzword. That's what everybody's talking about. Um, I know one thing I learned, and this isn't necessarily Copilot related, but if anyone has heard of the AI builder, part of the Power Platform, I learned that you actually get a lot of capacity from the standard Dynamics and the standard Power Apps licensing that you have. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know about AI Builder, it's basically the low code, no version or no code, low code version of how to build um, object models for use within your Power Apps, your Dynamics, and your business
Hmm.
without going down to the ML school and learning all those things. Which that brings me right to our next thing. You actually presented, right? So you did a topic on creating a model with Azure and how do you think that went? And what was your first experience presenting on a stage like that in front of everybody?
I think it went good. There's definitely things I think I would do differently, especially in terms of the visuals. Like especially with Azure, there's just so many steps and different things to go over. I think I could have done a better job of like highlighting where the steps were taking place in my screenshot specifically. Like I think one of the things that, and I think every presenter probably runs into this, is how do I help show the user what's happening, what steps I'm taking, but also make it readable from an audience perspective. So I think that's something I probably could have improved on. But I mean, I had a lot of fun doing the sessions. I didn't like we've talked about before, you're kind of nervous leading up to it, but then as soon as it starts, it's really fun. I felt like, the audience was engaged. They were asking good questions. Um, it went really well.
No, awesome. And I was there, so I got to see it. And again, thought you did a great job. Audience was engaged. And really, it just shows that if you're a user out there and you want to get involved and you want to speak, it's a very forgiving and loving community to be able to go out there and share your knowledge. And just because there's people who have MVP titles, we all started at the community level with some passion for community and what we do there. And things that you're doing in your everyday job may save somebody hours, or 2 o'clock in the morning, they find a blog post from you and then they come up to you and say, hey, man, thank you so much for writing this. And that really is that whole thing that comes around. So I know there was a few people that were talking about that they've met you before or were aware of your videos and stuff. And, again, that's really some of the power of being in the audience and doing that. But Copilot was definitely everywhere. We saw new release information around the different add-ons to Copilot. There'll be some big announcements today from Ignite on Copilot, which we can't steal their thunder, but they're going on as well. So you'll hear more about that. Primarily about the expansion of where it's not just Dynamics and Power Apps and Power Builder. It's all the way across. It's in Windows, it's in Teams, it's in Azure, right? To help you move through and work and use those technologies. So if anybody's telling you that AI is going away and it's just a buzzword, they are sadly mistaken. A number that a number that I found out yesterday, which was really interesting statistic, and it started from 2022, over 50% of organizations have AI enabled in their practice or business today, which I think is astonishing. And if you were on my webcast earlier where we did the fireside chat, me and Connor, I mentioned that this is the fastest adoption of technology that the world has ever seen. And I think it continues to rewrite the records as how fast it's moving and the benefits that business are seeing. We're getting instant ROI on some of these things where you can go to a business, show them the winning, the things that you can do with the app, whether it's Outlook, Sales Copilot, or in Dynamics or in Teams, and then instantly see that value on the floor in time savings and giving back to the team, making their jobs easier, getting more productivity, which again results in more sales, right? And that's the name of the game, increasing the revenue, like our Air Fuel platform in the revenue focus, right? So that was a bunch about Sales Copilot. They renewed their commitment to GP. So GP on premises, and that it's not going away. So if you have GP in your environments and you're understanding about that, they still have that going or supporting it, which is great because a lot of people really don't know where they want to go, where they're going to head. So the good news is it'll be there. And while we're talking about the next thing, I think Tasha's got a quick little poll. Just want to know who attended Summit or not. So if you can click on that, that would be helpful for understand our audience. So if you did attend Summit or not, let's just take a quick second. Okay. So it looks like we're about 70-30 right now in regard to the responses. So thank you guys for attending, being here and listening to the recap. And certainly we have off mic here. So if you want to add something in that you saw at Summit, please feel free. This is really about the community and giving back and really trying to help explain the value of going to Summit. For me, I know you didn't get to attend, Connor, but I was able to attend the pre-day conference, which, Summit does pre-day conferences prior to the main day of the event. So usually Monday and Tuesdays are the pre-day, and then Tuesday night is the kickoff, with Wednesday, Thursday, Friday being classes and sessions. In these pre-days is the only time that you get a course-like class that's over hours of actual hands-on computing, that kind of stuff. And I was privileged to be a part of the first AI Summit. We were able to, the enthusiasm alone, not only the fact that it was sold out on Monday, the entire conference was sold out, which is, I think there was 300 attendees available. It was sold out, but there was people actually standing outside in the hallways wanting to get there. Yeah, Kim, right? Great content, lots of enthusiasm, lots of companies like United Airlines and others that were talking about AI, how they're using it today. We saw some real world customer service examples of, if you're doing customer service and you have knowledge base, you spend a lot of time writing not only the knowledge base articles, but then you have to link them to, oh, this one's about this product and this one's about that product. And now that all goes away because the AI can actually look at the words and details inside those knowledge articles and render them up in both the chatbot and in the agents to see it. So big impacts, not only in customer self-service, but in just quality, right? Think about all the proficiency and time you're saving from someone having to author and make sure those articles are there. And then my personal favorite is the article was not marked for the right content, right? So you ever search on a site and you get back content that has nothing to do with what you're searching? It's because it wasn't categorized, or the generative AI is really, really helping us there. Another big one at the summit, they also did so they had not only the AI pre-day, where we got to talk about AI and how people are using it and some open forums. We got to talk about Dialogue Prime, which is our conversational intelligence add-on for Dynamics 365. But we also had a CEO roundtable in the middle of that conference about, they were meeting all day on different topics. And I was, again, honored to be able to speak about how generative AI is impacting the CRM landscape, right? And the big points were that the businesses are definitely looking at how to use generative AI in their business, primarily to keep their competitive advantage. Because if they don't do it, other businesses are. And you're seeing this more and more and more in the social media, in the ads, in your own emails. You're probably getting tons of emails now that look very similar or very suspect, that AI is being used to do that. And while we don't necessarily agree that's the right use of AI, it's certainly something that is front. But the big question was, what do we see it doing? How do we see it helping? And obviously productivity and measurements are some of the things that are there. But some other examples are really interesting for me. One specific example was, if you're like in my role or in a management role or above, and you're getting emails that you're the 20th person on that email thread, right? You've been escalated out, and you get this whole thing, and at the bottom of it, and the message to you is, Chris, please help with this. So it takes you 45 minutes to read the 20-minute thread to go down and look at what happened, trying to understand who the players were. And now I can just glance over at the right, and Copilot has summarized not only the interactions, but also action steps that were taken by other people on the call. So I can instantly come up to speed on a summary, and, comparing that summary to actually reading the thread. I did a side-by-side analysis, and it was dead on, right? So that's just one way that we're able to use these technologies. There's some new announcements coming today that you'll see at Ignite in regards to extending Copilot even further, which I think are really going to excite everybody. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? So getting in, using those capabilities, I think, and the CEOs were, asking about these type of things, like, how would I do this? What's the best way to bring generative AI into my business for my team to use it? And, you can set up a small workshop of a group of people, maybe 5 or 10 people across different business lines, or maybe in one area, and let them start to experiment with using the tool, understanding its capabilities, seeing how it works. And you may be on Dynamics, but it also works with Salesforce, right? So you can use it for either one of those. And I think, getting people just consuming it and starting to see the value starts to open up a whole bunch of ideas. And that's what we're actually seeing with our customers. So again, if you haven't got anything on Sales Copilot or haven't taken a look at it, you can go to Get Sales Copilot, right? And we've got a great website out there, thanks to Tasha and team, along with an ROI calculator that'll help you calculate out the value for your business, right? How much will it cost me to deploy it? And people will tell you can deploy Sales Copilot with like 5 buttons, right? Click, 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 and it's installed. And that may be true, but you really need to take it through showing people about how it works, what it does, and ensuring that they're getting value out of it, right? Because if you don't get value, there's poor adoption. And you guys know we're very big on adoption here at Congruent, and getting the most value out of the system, both from the revenue increaser as well as salesperson's proficiencies. So the other big thing about copilots was not just being related to sales, right? How can I use it in delivery? How could I use it in customer service? And I think we gave the customer service example before. But another big announcement was the local user groups are coming back in 2024. So during COVID, a lot of the local user groups pretty much died in regards to people meeting in the room, and for obvious reasons. So Community Summit felt that this year is the time to bring that back. So you'll not only see these things popping up in your city, I'll probably help lead the one for Tampa. Connor, hopefully you'll help lead the one for Atlanta. But if you're on the call and you'd like to have a community, there'll be plenty of time to sign up and do that. And it's not really hard. Basically, you're going to run a bulletin board, right, where it has or a forum, like a page on Facebook, so to speak, where it's this chapter, that kind of thing. And you provide content, you invite MVPs, you invite guest speakers, you invite ISVs, you invite users to talk about how they're using Dynamics and what they're doing as well. So lots of great ways to see that, and really excited that the community groups will be back in 2024. I don't know how long it'll take to roll them out, but certainly it's big news. And Connor, I know you never really got to attend the ones prior, but you did go to one for another competitor for user groups. And do you want to share your experience of what it was like going to a user group?
Yeah. There, it was the DUG, I believe, Southeast Regional Meetup. That was super cool to see. It was, I don't remember all the states, but essentially all of the user groups from the Southeast America area kind of met up, and we went over some of the new stuff. I had a presentation on adoption and CRM and how we can drive further adoption. It's always really interesting, talking about adoption and some of the methods that we do to try to increase user adoption. Because I think for a long time, partners and users are kind of thinking in one path, and we generally think a little bit differently. And it's really interesting kind of talking on those things. I think one of the things I came up with for my session is, if you find yourself saying, you can just, I think I called it the they can just fallacy, right? So when we're thinking about, when we're building things for our users, right? And, we have a set of requirements, or, a set of things that the users need to do. I generally find that as the builder, if you start saying, well, the user can just do X, Y, Z, you're probably trying to fit the user into the technology versus fitting the technology to the user, right? It's one of those things where, a user needs to be able to create a bunch of contacts at the same time. Well, you could say, oh, well, they can just go through and do X, Y, Z. Well, is that the best user experience, right? I think that's constantly what we need to be asking ourselves.
Yeah, no, all valid, right? So obviously you mentioned the walking, right? Walking is a lot at Summit. You're up at 7 o'clock, earlier, having breakfast, and your first sessions are starting at 8. Usually they end around 5:30, 6 o'clock. There's usually the trade show, which you're walking around and you're able to see not only other partners. Congruent had a booth with our T-Rex was there, right? Max was a big hit with Tasha walking all around, and there's some funny videos out there on our social. You guys can take a look at that as well. But it gives you a good understanding of how big it really is.
Mhm.
But then that's just the beginning. Then the after party starts. And
Yeah.
that's when different vendors have different events. But it's really the networking that's the biggest thing there. Meeting them, you're able to not only meet different MVPs, but also other community leaders around different topics. We shout out to Click Learn, Own Backup, a few others that were out there that were partners of ours from ISV perspective, but they were giving back to the community with parties and free gifts and things like that. We also had one night for the new Legends reception. For those of you who are
Mhm.
not familiar with the Legend is someone that's been in the community for a long period of time, um, giving back to the community. It doesn't have to be an MVP, anything like that. I was honored to be one of the first for the 365 group last year, or 2 years now, I think it is, almost 2 years. And we had some new ones. Julie Yak and a couple others were nominated this year. So and a lot of other different areas, But the Legend Award is really just the top of saying that you've given it all for the community, right? And
Mhm.
things like this is for you guys. This is for the community to be able to share back on, what happened, how was
Yep.
Summit, what we did. The sessions, as to Connor's point, were very detailed. I felt that the groups were good sizes too. Anywhere between 40 to 65 in a room. I think that
Mhm.
was common, right? Would you agree with that, Connor?
Yeah, when there's definitely some circumstances where, people were beating down the doors to get in there too.
Yeah,
There was a couple hot button sessions that and it's going to happen, right? It's hard to gauge how
yeah,
big of a room every speaker needs, but there's definitely it's a good sign, right?
yeah.
That you need more room. I want to talk about too that I forgot exactly what it was called, but there was a reception at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, which was super, super cool. Those of you that didn't get to go, I definitely would recommend, if you're ever in Charlotte, definitely stop by the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That was a super, super cool exhibit. Just a lot of historical artifacts in there and a lot of fun interactive stuff too. The line was crazy for us, but there was a whole racing sim set up and they actually used real NASCAR frames, like the actual cars. They gutted them and put in racing sims in there. And they had 7 or 8 of those set up and, they released a group and you could all kind of see them racing together. That was a really, really cool thing to experience. So definitely, if you did not go to Community Summit this year, I imagine it's going to be something as cool next year, and definitely stop by the exhibit if you're ever in Charlotte.
And if you stay towards the end, I will tell you where the next one is. Don't worry, we'll tell you. But yeah, Charlotte, from a downtown perspective, was amazing. Very safe.
Mhm.
Relatively a lot of new buildings, new hotels, new
Yeah.
places for restaurants. The NASCAR Hall of Fame thing just blows your mind from not only seeing that racetrack inside with all the cars, but just the amount of history and the presentation there. You could have spent all day just doing that, right? And it was a great area to be around at night and feel safe, but also a great venue for the community summit. So
Mhm.
excited about that one. And if there's something else coming up in Charlotte, certainly recommend it. It was only a 15-minute ride from the airport, very fast, and lots of Ubers. So that was good too, right? They had a great Uber service. So definitely
Oh yeah.
enjoyed that and getting to see some of our customers out there as well in some of the classes. Also, one of our customers was speaking, right?
Mhm.
So we were able to have, you remember the new name?
The new
Specialty
name.
Building Products, formerly
Yes, yes,
US
specialty
Lumber.
building part. Yes. Yeah, a huge shout out to Esther over at SBP. She helped out with Mike Hauk's session, who's on our team as well. But she was actually part of the keynote as well.
Yeah.
Talking about women in tech and, kind of getting over some learning disabilities that she and actually the main speaker had as well. So that was super, super cool to see.
Yeah, just and again, for a customer to go up that's never presented at a conference and not only be a part of the keynote, but also kill her session. She did an amazing job.
Yeah.
in the session. Her session was around successful implementation of Dynamics and
Hmm.
how they tried 2 or 3 times to get it right. They couldn't get it right. They were
Hmm.
focused on the big bang, doing, a bunch of different requirements. And they met with us, and, our focus is on, let's get to those top 5, 6 business objectives that you're trying to achieve, right? What are those outcomes that you want to meet? And let's implement those. And then let's do an iterative process to keep growing and building. And for those of you who don't know, they actually won Partner of the Year at Home Depot for their Power App that their sales team, outside sales teams using.
Hmm.
And that Power App was built in a design thinking session that we did on the first and second day working with them. And it's
Hmm.
continued to evolve and grow. Connor has spent a lot of time in the app as well, as
Hmm.
I call it, Connor sized, or made it more beautiful than my boxes and buttons. But Connor, let's share the statistic of how many people and are using that app per day and how many times.
Yeah, and it's actually we're using uh Azure Insights, which is a thing that you can connect to your Power Apps that kind of helps you track user adoption. I was looking at it just yesterday, and we're actually trending up. But on average, the average user is clicking on things about 30 to 40 times a day. In the most extreme cases, users are interacting with the app. I think 70 to 80 times a day, which is, I mean, I don't know how many people here, are familiar with how much CRM is typically adopted, but that is way, way, way higher. I mean, from a traditional standpoint, sales reps typically, before your Monday morning sales meeting, your sales reps are going to be, rushing in to get all their activities and get all those things in. So, I mean, from a traditional standpoint, you're looking at, you're lucky if users are opening their CRM once a week.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about users are opening multiple times a day, spending doing multiple interactions throughout the day. That's kind of helping them foster their relationships with their customers. An
And
interesting thing is, like, this app has totally changed how they're relating with their customers. What we're hearing a lot is when they get on site, the customers will actually ask to see the app. That's actually how they're interacting, because they can say, "Hey, let's open the app. Let's see how we're doing. How many open orders do I have? How many open RMAs do I have?" So it's been a really cool way for them to change and foster the relationship between, the SBP and their customers.
this approach was all over Summit, right? The
Hmm.
ability to focus in on a specific area. And I'll call that, and I'll continue to call that, contextual experience, right?
Hmm.
It's a specific experience for that role and group. Is it an app that replaces their CRM and does everything they do? No.
Hmm.
It's a specific app for a function of the business that makes that very easy for them to do, get
Right.
their answer. In the past, they had to open up the laptop. They were calling out, trying to get details. They were on a cell phone, trying to get answers because the information wasn't consolidated. It lived in different databases, different
Hmm.
systems, was synchronized at different times. And the Power App was able to pull all of that stuff together. And again, there's obviously making it sound a lot easier than it actually is. But
Yeah.
there was some hurdles, right, of both cloud-based data, on-prem data we had to get through.
Hmm.
But it's so rewarding, not only for us, but to see the customer be able to use that app. And these are the stories that we were hearing all across Summit, right? How the
Hmm.
Power Platform is really changing and it's really being implemented and adopted. The growth of the apps and the connectors alone, amazing, right? So if you didn't get to go to Summit, and you can go to their website and see some of the materials that are available. Some sessions were recorded. I know Chuck's session in revenue operations was recorded. Take a look at that. And
Hmm.
really, it's about our AI Fuel platform, which is a revenue platform that gives you everything you need out of the box. It provides CAC. It provides high-level client. It has segments of industry. It's integrated with Apollo AI for firmographics for your business. And it really helps answer in a reporting aspect of what's going on in my business, where are
Mhm.
my sales, and using the winning by design methodology. And if you're familiar with the bow tie funnel of where you're coming through the sales process, and then once the customer goes live, how do you continue to get revenue from that, whether it's subscription or moving forward? And that reoccurring revenue model is a part of that winning by design methodology that we've taken a step to implement in AI fueled. And I know Tasha has an AI fueled webinar coming up soon, so be love to show that to you guys as well. But again, generative AI, right, is a big part of that. The co-pilots are a big part of that. Forecasting, the AI forecasting model, and really that's even evolving not only with what we're doing with, but also what Microsoft is delivering.
Mhm.
Things like being able to use phone calls and details about doing that. It looks like Tasha has shared that event. Thank you, Tasha. In the window there, if you guys want to be able to sign up for the next one and click there. Um, but again, to sum it up in 3 words: AI, Power Platform, and everywhere. That was really my takeaway from Summit. And I was very excited to see that, because for months I've been the guy on LinkedIn talking about Viva Sales, and everybody says, you're crazy. It's never going to happen. No one's going to use it.
Yeah.
I've heard all the negative feedback. And now to see these companies adopting and deploying it and coming to speak at it at Summit when it's only a
Mhm.
year old is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Again, remember those words: the adoption will be faster than we've ever seen before with any piece of technology. And we want to help you, right? Our team has been working on these technologies. And whether you go to Summit or you work with another partner, make sure that they have those experiences and they've been talking about those things to help you do that. So, again, Summit wouldn't be Summit without saying to you, any takeaways of what you learned there that you can share with the audience, Connor? Something that stood out that, you're going to make sure that you do next time that you didn't do this time, maybe?
Probably a couple things. In terms of getting a better experience going, I think I probably would have looked more at the sessions beforehand
Mhm.
and kind of planned out a little bit more what I wanted to see. It's kind of hard to decide on the fly, but also it's totally fine to just kind of, go with the flow and not try to overbook yourself and tie yourself down. Um, I would say the biggest takeaway for me is, always be always be open to conversation as you're walking around, and be willing to meet new people, even it coming from a partner, even if they're another partner, always be willing to talk to other people. I think that's really, really important, and that really, really enhances your experience going to Summit, right? Because after all, it's a community summit. I think largely the point is to meet new people and find ways to help each other.
Yeah. And it's invaluable to your team. So if you have a team that's working in Dynamics, Power Platform, AI, customer service, all of the above, ERP, this is the event of the year. The next one will be in San Antonio, Texas. So
Oh,
San
neat.
Antonio, Texas has a beautiful river walk down there, and it'll definitely be a big event. I find that the events that are in the middle actually bring more people, because people may not want to come from California all the way to the East Coast, or from the East
Yeah,
Coast all the way to California. So I expect there to be more than the 4,500 attendees. I
yeah.
believe there's still an early discount right now on the website where you can save up to, I think, $300 or $400 if you can, set up and get that there. And it's also a good time to look at where the venue is and get your hotel reservations there. So they're in place. I know it's very forward thinking, but these things sell out really fast. And again, just want to mention our partners at ClickLearn, Click Dimensions, and MSCRM add-ons, as well as our ERP technology partner, Axia, for being there and helping customers and serving the community. It was a great time. We got a few minutes left. we can open it up for any questions. If anybody has anything, I thank you guys for the comments in the thread and participating that way. But if there's anything that you guys wanted to know specific from Summit or things that that we can share with you, we'd be happy to do that.
I could start off. Do you know what venue in San Antonio it's going to be at?
That's a good question. So if you go to summitna.com and you look at the website there, does it have hotels yet? Let's see. Has the early bird registration at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, and the all access pass right now is $1,199 for the registration. You can already see some of the vendors that'll be out there. We'll also have another booth out there. And if you're one of our customers on the phone and you're interested in speaking at Summit or getting a opportunity there, reach out to us, Tasha, me, Connor, or your CSM. We'd love to work with you on, showing your experience and what you've learned to help other community, because that's what it's about, right? It's all about giving back and helping others do that. So, lots of things there. Looks like Jessica. Does Jessica have a question here? Trying to get over there.
Yeah, the question was, where can we view the Summit sessions that were recorded?
Yep. So on the actual website itself, if you go look at the actual sessions, inside those session agendas is where the links for the recordings are. I did not see the post yet that those sessions are available yet. It usually takes them a little while. We're just about 30 days now. So you can imagine trying to upload all those course details. But what we'll promise to do is get out on our social media feeds of the link for that, as well as what you can do to get more information. At the bottom of the Summit NA page, you'll see there's a link to get Summit North America alerts. Just throw your email address in there and that'll keep you up to speed of all the venue information, speakers, when there's sign up for speakers, sign up for partners, all those good things. So take a look at that, but we'll try to get that out for you, Jessica. Yes, lots of great content. It's almost like going to Ignite and being able to go back and play the things. And again, if there's something out there that you felt that there wasn't enough information or you really wanted to see that course, get with us. Maybe we can do a meeting with you, go over that information. Certainly willing to help share knowledge and work with you guys, the community. So.
Any other questions before we head out? Doesn't look, I don't see any typing. I think.
Well, I can no longer call you the newbie, so you've now graduated to a veteran of Summit. So congratulations.
I'd say amateur.
I hope you had a great experience, and I hope you will continue to give back to the community like I know you will, because you're just as passionate about it as I am, and excited to see you grow and be in the community. As I have the affectionate name of Uncle Chris. So excited about that. And again, it's a great place to go. It's a lot of valuable information for your team, and even a great reward for your team. If you've got people who are exceeding expectations and you want to send them out there so they can get that, trust me, the value you get back is 20-fold. Okay. So thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us at the Community Summit, and look forward to our upcoming webinar on AI Fueled. Happy to talk about that with any of you on the call, and a shout out to all the customers on the phone call. Thanks again for joining. Thanks again, Connor, for being here. And once again, thanks to the lovely Tasha for putting us together and hosting this. Everybody have a great day. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone.